Yep.
Yep. Pretty much. I'm shooting for that inside line right there.
Yeah, if I run up on a car, a slower car, you know, coming up and through here, I just roll out of it and just basically give up this whole section just to follow them through there.
No matter how slow they are?
I mean, I might pass them in a little chute, you know, in between, what is it, 5 and 5A, what is it, 5?
5A, 5B.
Yeah, I might, you know, get through them right there, but this little part right here is, I mean, super sketchy by yourself, but with another car, I don't even want to push the issue next to somebody getting in here, so
Yeah.
I'll just roll out of it. It's not worth it.
I kind of miss the really big curbing on 5A though, because you could always just touch it with a car and get two wheels like 2 feet in the air.
Yeah, well,
Oh, you missed that.
yeah, you missed that part.
I miss that part. So now you gotta use the compression to like bounce the car in the air,
Yeah.
which that's on Daryl's Mustang. It definitely did not like his part. The transitions,
Okay.
like I was bouncing off the stops, and
Okay.
it was very unhappy to go fast as I wanted to go through here. I was trying to super dog the car,
Yeah. And you almost did.
almost like a 6/10 off or something.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely the car could not maintain that fast of a lap for like a whole stint.
Yeah, no.
So I had to back it off and run like 38s and 39s
Yeah.
because the car was not going to last.
No. But yeah, the cars can go that fast, but the longevity would be short.
Yeah.
So the things you learned, since yesterday was really my first time on this track,
Ooh.
is you don't start over here.
So your first couple laps you were still track left at this point?
Well, never way over here, but the more I moved in, the better all of this got. And
Yeah.
then after, you know, just an hour, right? I was way over here as tight as I could.
So I've always tried to shoot from as you come over the crest on the back straightaway, I'm track left, which is on the right side of the picture, right on that grass. And I basically straight line as much as I can to this side of the track. And then depending on the speed of the car, I don't brake until up here, like over the crest. I tap the brakes and set the front end and then turn back in. The
You got a lot of time on me right through here because I'm slowing that damn white car down before you even pretend like I'm making a turn here. So
Yeah, I actually would start braking right in just to blow it up and slow it down a little bit. Not hard on the brakes, but just
Yeah.
a little bit. Because in our car, once you crest this right here,
Yes.
you know, it jumps and then
Yes.
it kind of sits back
Loads
down,
back down.
and then off you go to the left.
So
I mean, under control, obviously. But
Yes. So in my mind, the idea with this crest and then this compression and then another crest at the apex
Yeah.
is you're planning to jump the car.
Yes.
So that's you're planning the jump. Like that's what it is. So if I hit the curbing, the old curbing,
Yeah.
it's just part of the plan. Like, but you definitely couldn't hit too much of it. So you had to be very precise. Now you can just, if you're shooting for the curb, you can just hit the curb.
Yeah. Yeah, so the car would jump and compress right there, and then I would just get like my left front tires, well obviously a ton of momentum carrying it out this way,
Yeah.
but then make sure I was still not going too fast that I could drag it back over to the left and then set up to get going up the hill. But I was behind a lot of people that actually sailed it all the way
Too
over
fast?
here.
So they went
And
as
then
fast as possible.
Yeah, and then they would brake here at 5B. Or 5, what is this?
Yeah, 5B.
5B. They would brake right there. And I
Which
was
you
like,
can't actually see the curbing for 5B
I
yet.
was like, whoa, what are you, that's not a braking zone right there, or hard braking zone.
Yeah,
And then once they did that, then they lost
yeah.
on the next two corners.
Yeah. So for me, as I would like come over the crest for 5A
Yeah.
and plant the car to jump, it's not full speed to end up over there. I would end up like middle of tracks, slightly left.
Okay.
And this on the rear wheel drive cars, I would trail brake to keep the front end for 5B. So then I was back to full throttle as early as possible
Yeah.
for 6 before 5B. through 5B, and then I would go back to throttle.
So, are you like about right where we're standing? Oh, okay. I take it like maybe I'm too. I don't know. I just drive a different line, but I'll be way over here.
Right on the white line?
Yeah. And then, because I try to make it, so when I,
Exit 5B,
yes.
that 6 is good.
Yeah. So if I can get everything right, then and the car's all settled and I'm done slowing down, and I can step on the gas right here, then just touch that curbing
All the way up.
and try to get as far keep the car as far right as I can, and then I don't even have to lift. So here, it just
Oh yeah.
enough momentum. This is where I gained a lot of time on a lot of people.
By the way, gentlemen, to your slight left is where I saw the General Leaf here, literally stuck up the embankment. I think it might have been the blackberries over here, but it might have been like right up there and had to have a tow truck extracting out of the bank.
Huh. So General Leaf makes another excursion up the hills at Pacific Raceways.
Yes.
Oh man, that's a big
Oh yeah.
drain pipe.
Drainage right there.
So you're about mid-track, and then you.
Apex right on the curb, and I try to stay right along the white line,
Okay.
just like you do.
Yep.
And if I hit the entry point right and the car's stable enough and I can go full throttle at the apex,
Yeah.
I'm full throttle the rest of the way.
Okay.
Even in Daryl's Mustang, I was doing the same thing.
All right.
Like as soon as the car was settled, which I had to wait a long time because
Yeah.
it didn't necessarily want to settle, especially with bouncing it off the bump stops coming over 5A.
Still,
It's-
recovering
I'm
from
told it's much better now.
that. Okay.
And then I'd be just full throttle the whole way.
Okay.
Sometimes I would do 5B too well, like super stable and go throttle super early, and then at this point I'm like, oh, I'm gonna understeer.
Yep.
So I have to like breathe it right here a little bit.
Yeah.
Honestly, I had to breathe the car here most of the time. What about you, Joe?
It would depend. If I got it right, then I wouldn't have to. But sometimes I missed it just a little bit.
Yeah.
But the majority of the time, I got it just right, and I could just full tilt boogie all the way up and through here.
Because you really don't want to breathe in this area.
No, because you're going up. I mean,
Right.
you're making a pretty aggressive uphill run right here, and so I gained a lot of time right in here, and I would even, if I was running up on a slower car, I would actually slow down
For
through
5B.
there. Yes, and time.
The run up the hill.
Yeah, so I would make my run, and I'd actually cut this a little bit tighter because I know they'd be pushing out, and I just drive right by them on the inside.
Where you can see it's steeper
Yeah.
than the outside.
So there is a little bit more bank right, more
Yeah.
grip right here.
Yeah, for me, a little bit of it is, like I said, I would breathe it, and then I would go up here, and I'm like, oh, that was stupid. You didn't need to do that. So it's like the mind over matter. Don't listen to your mind because it ain't gonna matter. So.
Right. So yeah, and Donovan was saying the same thing, right? He's like, yeah, no, dude, I have to lift through here because I don't want to get up here. But if you look at the track right here,
Right.
you see where the gravel's all,
Yeah.
the grass and everything. People will run right into there, but there is more room coming out of there than you think there is.
Yeah.
You can't really see it. All you see is the where the track curves in a little bit.
Mhm.
You're thinking, okay, well that's the asphalt's done, but there is room right there to run it all the way out there. What? Remember when we ran at Thunder Hill? Just reach down and grab a pair, dude.
I know. Yeah, just reach in and touch both of them, right?
The- for turn 8 at Thunder Hill?
A lot of the turns.
Oh yeah.
So, up over the crow's nest, and then I'm terrible with turn numbers, but
You're not the only one.
yeah. So up over the crow's nest, and then you make that sharp lefter, and then start heading off to the backside.
Yeah.
Once again, there's a lot of forgiveness there, right? So you can.
You mean you don't have
basically-
trees hanging over the track?
Yeah. And you can just hammer it and just drive through there and just let the car drift out into the side, and that's what I always tried to tell these guys. I'm like, just reach down and grab a pair, man.
Yeah, this area I felt pretty good. I'd smash it back there, and you could hold it all the way up to turn 8.
Is there still a pretty good dip at turn 7 on the apex?
It hops around. It does that everywhere though. So
there is. It's not. I don't think it's as bad as it has been in the past, but there's still a dip there.
'Cause that was one of the things I remember in the wet. Everyone's saying dry line's fine going through the dip, but in the wet, avoid it.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't avoid it. It's a little wider than my car was, and I just put 2 wheels in the dip, and I ended up almost at the apex, like early apex turn 8.
Yeah.
That's basically where I ended up sideways on the track.
Oh.
Like super slow drift all the way in the wet, and came to stop like on the inside of 8. It's like, well, that didn't work.
If you didn't stop, it would have been perfect.
Carrying a little bit more speed, and I would have kept sliding all the way around 8. So back to my questions.
Yes.
We're on question 2 now, which is your first memory of your first race of your memory of a first race. If I can ever start speaking again. So your first race memory. Like, what were you feeling? Do you remember it at all? What was it? Like,
Well, my first competitive stuff was with Garrett. We raced, when I first started racing, was legend cars, and super nervous. I thought, you know, I can drive a race car, you know, whatever. And then I got out there and I'm like, oh no, I got a lot of work to do. But Garrett helped out a lot, and I really appreciated that. So
nice.
and we traveled all over the place. Had a lot of good fun.
It's easy for me. My first was Lucky Dog, actually, at the Ridge. I don't know, what, 4 or 5 years ago, in that yellow Mustang that was really garbage.
That was one,
Another
you remember
Darryl
that one?
car.
Yeah.
And so, but it was fun. I mean, we went out and practiced on Friday, and in the first session, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting passed everywhere. I don't know at all where to be, and then by the third session, I'm like, all right, at least I feel like I can be on the track now.
Yeah.
I can be part of everyone. And I don't know, by the end of that weekend, we did all right.
Yeah.
We never crashed the car. I don't think we placed that well, but we finished. We had a good time.
Yeah.
I guess my first memory of of the car racing thing was starting out in Legends cars just a couple years before Joe and I met, and thinking probably kind of the same thing, you know, driving something like this, how hard can it really be? You know, it's almost an over horsepower go-kart, and I think it took me at least a half a season to be able to complete a race without spinning out. And actually, it was a heat race or a main event. We were spin to win all the time.
Oh, just like today.
Yeah.
Today might be spin to win day.
Okay, so my first and only experience racing was a powder puff race at Southbound Speedway, and I went from not knowing how to take lap times to getting in the car and asking, what happens if I spin? And Garrett telling me, oh, it doesn't matter, you're not going to be going fast enough to do that.
Oh.
But Nate, one of our pit guys, said, if you start to spin, push the clutch in, because otherwise you'll ruin the car. I'm like, okay. So I went out. I was the only girl in the race to pass somebody. However, I did spin out, and I did push the clutch in. Therefore, the car was good for the main event.
Very nice.
What about you, Eric?
My first race was in a Pro 3 car, and it was basically, I had been doing track days, and as an instructor, with my E30, and some of the guys are like, you should drive one of these race cars. I'm like, I don't have a race license. Like, how do I do that? So I basically expedited a race license, and I raced that weekend in a car I've never been before on a racetrack, and it was pretty awesome, enough where I turned my E30 into a race car.
Right. Cool. Well, Joe's experience for me, I bought a car
Yeah.
the next year, I think, after a couple times doing our thing, and the whole program wasn't super good, so we ended up just buying a car. Yeah.
And what kind of car did you buy, Mr. Nail?
What? Yeah, the staple for this series, an E36.
And then my third question is typically, what's your first lucky dog event? So we already heard one first race event was a lucky dog event. So the memory of your first lucky dog event.
Well, mine was with Len White in what's now the gray Mustang, which was maroon back then. And we were going to race at Portland, and his car, I don't know, something happened to it, and Barry Mueller had his Mustang there, and then so we jumped into that thing, and so it was a rain weekend, and that's the first race I ran. Lucky Dog was Portland, probably 4 years ago or so, and then ever since then I've tried to drag a bunch of people in here.
Yep.
Jared, Call, a lot of people I introduced them to the series, and we've made a lot of good memories doing it.
Oh yeah.
Kathy and her husband, they run a super good program, and that's why we keep coming back. Your first lucky dog?
He did.
That was the story.
All in one. So yeah, my first lucky dog race, I guess I can thank Joe. He tried to get me into this deal, and he says, well, these guys from Yakima, they got this Mustang, and let's get in on this thing. And so my first lucky dog race would have been at the Ridge, and I think was that Barry's Mustang, or was that Dan's?
Barry or Dan?
Was it a
Dan
Barry?
Layton's,
Was it a Barry Layton?
yeah.
Dan Layton's Mustang, and we actually got to work on the car a little bit, but we actually had a good time, and that kind of got us hooked. And then Joe comes over again and talks, we start talking about, well, what do you think about running something that doesn't drink so much gas? So now here we are into this dance. We got to think about 4 CRXs, and we have to now, well, we're down to 3 now yesterday, but so yeah, we'll build another one and keep her going and have a B and a C car.
Oh, first lucky dog experience.